What the? Hello, hello, hello. This is Aim. Welcome to Yesterday, Today, and Tomorrow. Today we are going to be talking about censorship, a thing of the past. I never thought I'd say that. You guessed it. This is going to be a weird episode. If you are watching this from the future, I hope that you are familiar with this sound. If not, do something about it. It's a weird time that we're living in. It's a new year. A lot of people say that's a new start. I feel like it's been a lot different in recent years. I remember there's been certain episodes of certain television series or even new films that are just blowing my mind with their excessive use of certain language or even certain settings without any sort of, you know, sense of sultry to it. That there's not really a defining factor, in my personal opinion. So, here today, we're going to talk about that. There's been a lot of controversy. I'll give you that, folks. There's been a whole lot of controversy. And with that, the conflicting opinions are just about as good as any form of, shut the up. Because there's not really anything that anybody can do about that. When you got 100 opinions, which one of them is correct? There's nothing wrong with that. I remember the early days of social media. Even then, you couldn't tell somebody that they were lying. You just kind of knew it. Now it's been so long that neither of those things are an option. In my work, I tend to leave out the risque. I just kind of focus on content creation and artwork, a little bit of storytelling. If things get adult or personal, they get adult to personal. I keep those off of my family friendly platforms. It's really that simple. Not that there are many of those left. I mean, everywhere I look, I see adult content, whether it be OnlyFans or Fansly or even run of the mill networking. I mean, it really doesn't matter what it is anymore. It could be social media. Every other social media post looks like it should be behind a paywall these days. If you agree, hit that like button and tell me why, because I want to hear it. I think other people do too. As much as they want to act like they don't, everybody wants to act like they don't want to hear about it. But that's just because they're scared of the truth. Truth hurts. People don't know what to do about it anymore. They'd rather be constantly miserable than have to deal with that little bit of downtime and just kind of deal with reality in the moment. It's easier to barely have a reality at all than it is to deal with real hardships. Can't say I blame them, but I can say I disagree. This is my life. I'm gonna do what I want to do with it. If I have to buy up a bunch of old VHS tapes to be able to make it through this, that's what I'm gonna do. I really don't have a problem with that. I'll find myself an old VCR repair shop and not the one from that movie that has a bunch of ghosts in it. Find myself a real one. Again, if you agree. If there's anything that you guys would like to hear about on the show, you can also let me know about that down below. If you think this is an interesting topic and want to hear more about it, let me know why, and I'll do what I can. If there's something else that you want to hear about, if there is a particular event or happening in any industry, or even just life in general, that's what we're here for. So, this is going to be kind of difficult. Never really talked about this much. It's always felt like a taboo subject, as it should. I've done some pretty wild things in my life, being the young man that I am, and I'm still afraid to talk about it. That's why I have sympathy for the others. I feel like caving into the pressure is really unacceptable. There's no excuse for that, but it is understandable. I already know you disagree, so let me know why you disagree. I would love to do these live, but I don't have live access right now. My apologies, folks. Hopefully soon I'll be able to get something going, whether it be on Twitch or TikTok, some other form of live stream. I know YouTube even has a live streaming platform, but I don't know enough about that. It's been too long. I've been off the airwaves for too many years to really know anything about it, so my apologies. I remember the good old days of sitting in front of the television, flipping through the channels. Yes, channels. Kids, those are these things that have numbers, and when you press a button on the TV remote, it changes. Ask your parents. And for those of you that have been living under a rock for the last 100 years, go look at a television. Some of them are even in color, yes? It's an interesting concept. A lot of people say it aligns with their values more than others, but it's really just a thing that happens. It's something that we need to get used to as a people. I'm a little more focused on my communities than anything else right now because what I see in my communities is disheartening. I don't think I could handle looking into what other communities are going through right now. I see social media posts every so often that definitely scare me away from the idea. Why? Because I don't get to know that there's going to be some sort of mosaic tile to cover up whatever it is I'm not supposed to be looking at. There's not going to be any black bars, covering up anything that shouldn't be on screen, and there's not going to be any to cover up things that I don't want to hear. So yeah, that's pretty self-explanatory. Taking notes here so that I know what I've gone over, what I need to do, post edit, things like that. Forgive me if there's any awkward silences. There are going to be shorts to kind of alleviate that. It's one of the few blessings that shorts have brought us. It's going to be a lot better than scrolling through half of an episode of Family Guy while somebody plays Subway Surfers, that's for sure. Again, that's just one of those things, that doesn't really need any sort of bleep, but it definitely needs some sort of quality control. A lot of people are relying too heavily on automated quality control, and some people aren't relying on any at all. If you're against that kind of thing, I highly recommend getting off of whatever platform it is that is doing that to you. I know I have. I try to avoid them at all costs. Obviously, if your best friend likes to get on such and such platform and make such and such post, obviously you've got to see it. But if nothing like that is going on, then just don't do that to yourself. Just don't do it. Don't do it. It's that simple. Just don't do it. The biggest one that gets me is that whenever I go turn on my FM radio, I still hear it. I hear either the record scratch or the tape reversal or an actual bleep. Some stations have more of it than others, which is understandable. Some stations need it more than others. But isn't that something that the people with the radio towers are doing better than the people with the cable? They don't even have a physical network. They are purely relying on the fact that you purchased a device that can pick up their signal. Nobody came to your house and installed it unless you took your car to a shop or something. If your radio or stereo got busted, yeah, you're gonna have to go do something about it. But odds are the car came that way. So it's really more of a public service than anything else. It's not as privatized as most things are becoming. It's not really as in competition with the streaming services as everybody else likes to pretend that they are. Pretty soon, purchasing a burger at your favorite restaurant is going to be a subscription service if nothing is done about it. Isn't that just crazy to think about? What if they find a way to make our burgers into obscenities? You take your family to your favorite restaurant, and all of a sudden you've got some pop star doing a weird dance on top of whatever container your food came in. That's not great. I know I wouldn't want to do that. Hey everybody, it's little Jimmy's birthday. Let's go to Obscenity Burger. Whoa, I'm good. No thanks. I'll leave a 1-star review on Yelp and complain about how there was no waitresses. Thank you very much. There wasn't even a cashier, right? I just walked up to this computer, pressed a couple of buttons, and it gave me the worst thing that I've ever experienced. That deserves at least a 2-star review. At least somebody had to install the computer and they did that correctly. I can't really imagine that there's anything that I could have gone over differently. If I left anything out, feel free to let me know. As usual, let me know what you would like to see on the show in the future. Let me know what you thought about this episode. If you have any questions or anything like that, feel free to reach out in whatever way works best for you. Thank you for listening.